Hey everyone, welcome to Dave's Bonsai. On today's episode, the trees are coming in the garage. You probably could see and actually hear the rain that finally got to our neck of the woods, and boy, loving the natural water on these trees. Our trees love it so much. Too rainy to work outside, so I did bring everything into the garage, and my camera did not film the first two trees I've already worked on with you, so you get no benefit from any of that. But let's not waste the chance to at least show you the image of what I worked on. So let's get in close and show you what I did to this tree. This is a Japanese maple that I put into this Sarah Rainer pot this year. It's got a nice movement to this trunk, and it was just getting long up here, super long, and I just cut it back to its bare essence, if you will. I took off this major branch here and shortened it back up. This was the dead branch from the cut before. So I just went ahead and cut it off shorter so it'll heal better. We'll put a little cut paste on there. This branch was coming up here, and then it curved over here, and then had a branch going up this way. Really fun movement, but no taper for about 6 inches. And I've got this really nice branch back here growing. It's growing out this way, it splits here, it's got one coming up right here. This could become the new part of the tree, and if we angle this a little different in the future, there's options. This one then is growing back, but it has a nice division back here that grows off to the left, up to the right, and then movement already to the left here with a new branch here, a really nice subdivided tree branch here. And again, if we replant this in a certain way next year or 2 years from now, or maybe even from this side, we have possible options for a new tree. So it's a tree that's now being set up for some setting of some buds for the rest of these 2 months of growing season. We're just going to leave this all fall, winter, and then we'll see what it pushes out for the spring. So that's tree number 1 in the Sarah Rainer pot. My apologies for my camera not recording. Not sure what happened there. And then this, tree number 2, I repotted with Andrew Robson this year, and he really liked the twin kind of style trunk here with the main one in the middle and these 2 side ones. And the trees in my neighborhood, all the maples grow up like that with all kinds of really thick trunks, and even the ones that are secondary here to the main trunk, these are as thick as trees all by themselves. And so we don't have the branch that's real big and heavy and majestic out this way, but it's growing more up this way. But it provides a nice little texture to this tree, whether that's the front or this is the front. Right now I think we have this as our main front because of where these 2 positions are. So I had a big split right here into 2, and I cut those down to save this one tall one for kind of our leader at the moment. So we have some taper. Wide, a little narrower, and of course we'll get some more growth next spring. This section I'm not too convinced I'm going to keep, but I'm not going to cut it down to this branch here. I'm going to probably cut it to this nice piece of growth right here. So right here we have this branch that's going up and a little bit over, and then it's kind of coming back up here. So I'll probably do a chop here in the springtime after the first flush of growth grows and hardens off. And so this will give it a lot of energy, help with these wounds, and it'll build up energy all year long, and then we'll go ahead and let this thing shoot up now all next year and see what happens. We've got some really nice back buds back here that took off this year. There's even a tiny bit of growth right there. But we've got these nice fine branches that could become thick now secondary branches if I like it down here. Nice splitting down low. We got a great future tree here. Yes, I want the trunk to get thicker, so I could just chop this more, but this chop late in the summer I think will provide another chance next spring for it to really shoot up and go crazy. So there's tree number 2. Again, my apologies for not showing you the clips. This was really thick in here. We got it down to just the 2 split here and a new growth right here and this right here. We'll see what happens with this tree next year. The big wound right here, it's a dark kind of gray looking dark bark. That's almost completely healed off. This is really nice. I'll put some cut paste on this one as well, and then we'll get some new trees that I will show you trimming up. I've double checked my recording buttons and they are on. Here we go with tree number 3. This is another new Japanese maple to me, acquired from my friend Kirk through the Minnesota Bonsai Society. I picked up 4 from him this year, and this is one of those trees where I just haven't done anything with it this year. I just let it do its thing. This could become a nice little shohin tree, which is going to be below my finger there, about 8 inches or so. You know, this could be great for that. I've got this nice section here. I could cut this whole entire tree off here, and we've got this bend over there. It's got a nice little slant as it is right now. It's got all kinds of wonderful new growth here. Again, I'm going to set this tree up for it to push its new growth next year in what I decide to do with this tree. So we are going to make a little bit of cleaning and branch selection here. So if you can see on this branch, you've got all kinds of little tiny new branches trying to grow up, and this is where all these new shoots can grow up. They're super tiny, and they will be hungry and probably shoot up next year as well. I got a super low one back here, another super low one back here. We're going to cut those off. So on this tree, this was the big branch before, but look at this one back here that's grown this year. So we have a branch on the left, a branch on the right, and then one comes up here. We could almost take this one entirely off now in favor of that one. We have a really nice branch. Now, this one is already pretty thick and it's growing up kind of like the last one I just showed you, so we might want to keep them both and just kind of see what they do. I'm going to work with this left branch first. Now, you can't see the branch back there, but I'll put my finger on the old cut. There's the old cut point right there. From there to there, there's some taper, but not much, and it curves up this way, but then this one curves up, and they compete against each other. So I'm going to go ahead, and I'm going to get rid of this one altogether. There we go. So this was out here, and we just took that off. And now we have this branch coming out this way. So we have this nice branch here, and it's going to curve this way and grow up this way, and then kind of come up towards the top here, right? So super nice. I'm just going to cut off this tip. I'm going to cut off this tip and see what I have left in here. Now, again, we go from 1 to 2. I've got 1 to about 5 in here. I don't want this bottom branch. Here's an old cut point right there. We're going to let that go because this grows up real nice from that cut point. We'll cut this one lower. We're just going to let that go. That one's too inside. I like this one right in front here. So now we went and we cut this one down from, there's a couple of little ones trying to grow right there. They'll grow again in the spring, I'm sure. Very good internode sections here. We'll get some more growth there, possibly in a ring down here. But this internode is about here to here, if not down to here. So we have this really nice structure back here. This branch back here is probably the nicest. I'm going to leave all 3 of them to choose next year. We'll see what they grow next year. This will die back and we'll cut that off. So there's that side of the tree. Depending upon where the front of this tree is, got a nice slant kind of backwards and coming back at us. We could turn it more this way, and then we have this nice branch coming over here. So let me come up here to this main branch. Again, we have all kinds of little itty bitty wannabes right here. We'll get new growth on those. Look at that beautiful little leaves. We've got one kind of back here trying to sneak around there. So we have this nice branch here, but look at this brand new one down here. I'm not going to touch this one except for to cut the old dead nub off. This splits really close to the trunk here. So we're going to pick one of these next year. We're going to hope they both survive so I have something to choose from. But there is 3, so let's get rid of the 3rd one right there. Okay. So now, there's my 2 branches, there and there. One of those 2 is going to survive. We're going to see. We're going to hope that all gets more growth this year and survives all through the winter, of course. And then we have some branches to choose next spring. Little tiny one back here. A whole one trying to grow right there. And then this might come off. Now, typical for maples, this branch over here has an opposite branch over in this back side. If we end up keeping this one next year and cutting this one off, we leave this one to grow, and then we have kind of left, right, and then left and back, and that's kind of nice. But let's go look at that branch. Look at, there's a growth really in tight right there. I'm going to cut that off to give this all some more breathing room. There's a little tiny bud trying to grow there. So again, if this is kind of the front of the tree, this could become the new primary branch. We get rid of this, and this could become this branch that tucks around this way. So we're going to thin out the one that wants to try to go up. And then we're just going to see, well, there's all kinds of growth in here. So yeah, this one is real thick back here. We have a couple of old stubbies that didn't make it. We're just going to leave this one back here for some texture. And we're going to see what survives the winter and the rest of this summer and fall and pushes out that growth. What's really looking like is I can cut the bigger ones off for this young growth next year. So we're just going to leave that right there right now. And we're just going to see what's going to happen there. So if I were to cut this one completely off and then cut that one off, we'd have a gap in here. So I'm going to leave this one for future, and we'll leave this one probably to give that up for that one down the road. And then we have this branch that's growing right in the middle here. This is a really nice branch here. If we do twist it to the right a little bit, it's in the way, but then we have a nice branch right there covering the scar right there. So this could become part of our new leader, but we also have these branches to the right and left. So again, if we have a strong left and then a future strong right, this one or this one, we need a strong left, and that's this guy right here. And he's getting real strong and growing more towards the back, but look at this piece of the growth right there. And there's also one even more in the center right here, but this could become a branch as well. But that means we probably would cut this one off in favor of one of these two back here. So we just thin that out a little bit more. We have some inside growth right there. We'll cut the tip off, cut the tip off. We're going to see what this branch is doing here. These two are competing with each other right here, boom and boom. So here's the old nub, and let's make it wider and keep the one to the right. Moves it away from the tree more and lets this tree go up and over and kind of come up this way. So we'll hope that that one takes off and does really good things. We'll take this off because it's kind of messing up our view. Dead from an old chop. All right. So again, this may go in the future. If not, it'll grow up off to this side a little bit and grow over here with this as our leader if these two don't survive. If we like these better, we'll keep these and possibly have this one come over this way, and we're going to chop this guy off probably a lot shorter. Now, if this branch would have been over here thicker, I did cut off a thinner one. This one's so much prettier. That could have had a nice angle back that way. I'm still considering keeping this one for a little bit longer to see what happens next year. So in the back, this one's right opposite of it. Let's take that off. We have a bit of a nub there. So there's the old wound. So this one has one growing. I kind of like that direction. I'm going to cut that thick one off. That was right in front of me, and it goes to this one right here. So thick, not much thinner here, but then this is the thinner part here, but this is even really thinner. This could be the new part of the tree instead of this one back here, or this here, or both. But they're real close to the same same part of the trunk, so that might not work, but we'll see which one takes off. So for this guy, we do have an internode that's active right here, plus all the growth down there. I'm going to just cut it all off right there today. And so now it's setting the tree up for all the lower back budding for set up for the spring growth. So we have lots of chances and a lot of area to get some fun back budding and see where this tree is going to go next year. So I think we'll stop that one right here. It's not even in a bonsai pot yet. It's in bonsai soil though. It's got a nice little bit of movement down here, just subtle off to the angle and coming back up this way. Again, maybe this one comes off in favor of this. Then we can get some back budding on these internodes. Look at those rings of internodes. We can get some more growth like we are right here. We can get some more growth maybe on this side and keep every other here, here, and then up here. And then this one right there. So there we go. There is tree number 3. Japanese maple number 3. Ready to go. Done for the season. And maple number 4. So our last maple for today is what was a really tall, long maple when I got this tree from my buddy Kirk, and I brought it with me to Andrew Robson. And Andrew Robson said, yeah, how about Shoheen, Dave? And so let's look at that trunk together. Do you see that trunk down there and what we chopped off? This was the leader up here that was probably, we took off a couple of feet. And that's dying back. We're going to cut that off next year. And then we have this beautiful curve down there at the base. And here's the side we really want to look at. You see that in there? So we just totally cut that off. And this girth of this branch has thickened up this year. I'd have to look at back photos of when I first got it, but it's already thickened up because of all the growth on this side right here. Look at these thick branches right here, nearing pencil thickness. That is pencil thickness right there. And some shoot-offs down here and a shoot-off in the back. This thing really took off. So here is a prime example again for everybody that you chop it right here and you chopped it right here before. All of this started to shoot out for some massive growth. So look at this. We've got a chop right here, and so look right here, we got this growth. We're just going to cut that off. Trying to go down there where we don't want it to, we want it to kind of, we're going to shave this off next year and have that nice curve. And so that is the front right there. This guy's coming out right at us. So we're going to cut that off. Had a lot of growth, thickened up that trunk. We'll cut that. And there's even little tiny back budding right below where I just cut there, shooting more straight up. So instead of coming right at us, it'll maybe shoot up more straight up next season. Got this nice branch going off right here. We can maybe cut this one back a little more, but it's also kind of in this. This was a major cut, by the way, and it's kind of got this big old Y here, so we might not keep both of them. It might be worthy of just keeping this one. We got the curve here coming up this way, and then we can go back that way, so we might be able to cut this whole entire one side off. And then also it has growth back here as well. So that's some nice branching back here, and this is a fun branch. And that one has a subdivision right there to 2. But as we look at this tree, now will this be the tree or will we keep it back there? I also love this section right here. This branch goes up back over here. So if you follow my chopstick, it goes behind this branch I just cut. It goes back to the back, but then it comes over here and goes up. And we got 1, 2, 3 branches to choose from. Well, we don't want the bottom one, and I don't even want the sideways one. I want it to grow up. So there we go. There it is right there. That could be a fun part of this tree. Once this is gone right here, this could be really fun and interesting. Take that off right there. We will cut this down to an internode. And so, where's the future of this tree? So, if we have it so we can see this beautiful curve here, we want it to see it like that, and this branch is way in our way. Maybe we have it this way, it curves up this way and goes up this way, and we have this nice split with a tree back there as well. So, not sure how that's going to pan out. We won't know till next year. So here's the one I cut off. Here's the main one back here, the main front one. We have 2 back there. We have a third one trying to grow out here, but I just don't like that position. We're going to get rid of that one. So now we're down to 3 right there. Okay, that's going to be a whorl. That's going to be a knuckle. 1, 2, 3. We have to cut one of these branches off, and we're going to do it this year. So next year it's just going to grow, and it'll strengthen up the 2 that we leave. You'll notice I left this one long with these possible growths here, so I don't know if that's worth keeping either. But if we cut this all off, this could be new branches. What's nice about this, though, is we have this nice curve here. It goes up here, kind of curves over here, up here, and down there. So I want to keep all that beautiful movement. Cut more of that trunk off. I think we're going to cut this off. So big, bold move. But now we have a tree that kind of curves up this way, goes this way. We're going to get rid of this knuckle right now, and then it's going to go this way and up and this way and over. And then this branch back here can provide some branching. I really like where this is possibly going. We'll cut this one down one more. We'll cut this one down one more. Let that be the leader. Let this be the leader, and we'll leave it like that. I do want to get a little bit more of this off right here. so it's cutting into the old dead wood. There we go. And we'll definitely put cut paste on that. Has plenty of time to start healing this year yet. There we go. Let's get that cut paste on and put that on right away. Right there. And up here. Got a little one right there. It's probably not going to need it, but... And there we have it. Now this is where we cut this spring, and it's already started to die back, but we're not going to cut that off until next year, so I'm going to leave that alone. So there's our shohin tree. Now as you can see, shohin is about this tall, so we don't want it any taller than that. So we've got a nice branch forming out this way, a wonderful curved branch this way, going to the right and then up this way with this support back here as well. We've got some options for next year. So there is the fourth tree chopped up for the last time this year, and we will let this shoot up all next year and just see where it goes. Our little shohin Japanese maple. My first update for today is my Quaking aspen, my poplar tree. So back earlier in June, when I came back from my first vacation over to Scotland, and then I went up to the cabin up north, I had come back and I had noticed a few trees turning really brown. My birch clump forest, which we'll show you next, and this was one of them too, my poplar, and I had one other tree. I don't remember the variety of that one, and they all had what looked like to be some kind of mold or mildew on it. And this tree was about this tall, and all the leaves were up here. It had really nice ramification, and it was up here. It was almost twice as tall. So I treated those trees, and the birch trees, I believe I treated too much in the middle of the day, and it did suffer. I'll talk about that in a moment. This one, I ended up defoliating. So I defoliated the whole branch. Everything was bare. This tall of a tree again, way up to here, and I defoliated it. And 2-3 weeks later, I started to see, oh my gosh, look at how green that tree is, all the way down to an inch above the pot. And let's get a close-up of what's going on with this poplar. So here again is a perfect example of a trunk chop in the middle of summer with some species. So as I spin this around, this was the chunk chop from 2 years ago. Not this summer, but last summer, so a little over a year ago. This was the chop, right down to here. And this was the growth that happened. We right now are going to have this natural little curve in this trunk if I angle it just a little bit in the pot like it is. And you have, there it is. This year the growth again, or not this year, but the last year or two, the growth was up to here, and we had all of this growth up top that had the leaves that turned brown. I defoliated completely, and look at this tree. Let's spin it around for you. Look at the growth on this. Now, these are all brand new leaves. None of these leaders, none of these twigs, none of these branches existed 4 weeks ago, the first part of July. Now it's the first part of August, and I've got 6 to 8 inch growth on all of this tree that didn't have anything below my finger here. So with all that back budding, I chopped off the top crown. I chopped it off, and I'll see if I have a picture to show you before after here. I chopped it off. And then look at what's growing now. I have a tree that I have all these branches to choose from. I have some every other branching kind of pattern, and it just went absolutely crazy, and I'm so excited to show you this update of the poplar. And so we're just going to let this thing completely shoot up the rest of this year, and then we will make a trim early in the spring or late winter to set up our branching for next year. So now this is all young growth. What I just cut off on the maples was hardened off, and the wood was hardened off. These are all light green and still supple, no hard wood yet. Pretty delicate leaves, 4 weeks old. It's kind of like the first part of June after the May push. We're going to let this completely alone, put it on the bench for the rest of the year, fertilize it like crazy so it has all kinds of energy for next spring. Quaking aspen, after a trunk drop and a defoliation before that. Really excited about this tree's future. So my second update for today is the birch clump forest. So again, like the poplar, after my trip to Scotland and then going up for the 4th of July weekend, I came back and my trees had some brown mold or some kind of fungus issue on there. And so I had to do some treatment. So I put some treatment on the birch clump here. And I warned you during the middle of a day, if it's too hot and direct sun, you probably should not be putting any of the fungicides on. Wait for the evening or the morning. I didn't wait, and the rest of the leaves, about 50 to 75% of what was left, kind of browned up and just fell off. And so I almost completely defoliated the birch tree. And I think I even asked in that episode if anybody has ever defoliated a birch. Made me super, super nervous. So here is the birch tree, and I just want to show this is all new growth except for the bigger leaves, which there are not that many on there. Look at into the center down here by those latest suckers. Look at the growth all the way down to the bottom. This one back budded like crazy on that one right there. And the one in the back right over here, we have some back buds right there. And even the big ones are back budding over there by the lowest branches. Look at all this back budding right down here on this branch. So I defoliated the birch about the second week in July. And it's coming back. And I think in a couple more weeks it'll fill out a little bit more, look a little less sparse. And then hopefully we'll get some good yellows on here. And the maple's going to turn a little bit. I cut a lot of those leaves off as well. But look at that back budding. All of those are new leaves. About 80 to 85, maybe 90% of the leaves you are seeing are all that are new since I defoliated. And the only damage left on the tree is the damage that the Japanese beetles are doing on my trees. And so we have some spots where they just won't leave us alone. So hopefully a big one right there that survived, but the Japanese beetles. There it is, the update number 2, the birch clump. And we got a little hint of that white right there. Oh, I love that. That is going to wrap things up from the cool and damp garage on this August day. Just a bizarre day, but the rain is wonderful for the trees. Carnage cam. Look at all the maple leaves and branches that bit the dust. A lot of good work done today. Great work on the maples. I think they're all set up now for the rest of fall into winter. We'll have a great new spring next year with all kinds of wonderful growth. An update on the poplar tree. So fun to see how much back budding that did, and the birch clump that survived. Whew, yeah, thank goodness for that. We've got some great footage of Dave Severson's garden up north. We got the Up North podcast, which will be out in a few weeks. We'll get a YouTube video up on as well, and so you can see some of the great trees and a really down-to-earth conversation with Dave. I had so much fun, and it just touched my heart to be in his backyard for a few hours. That's coming up on the horizon. And of course, PSGF, people are asking about it. We'll have some updates, of course, on that as well. So stay tuned. Until then, hey, take care of you, take care of your bonsai, and we'll catch you on the next one.